What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Run Pure Sports College Basketball Hardwood Show. We're here with two guests today as we steamroll towards March. Man, we are a couple days from February. We got my guy Gav waking up early on the West Coast, 7 a.m. local. What's going on, Gav?
What's going on, man? Yeah, kind of a cool weekend with the SEC Big 12 showdown to break up some of the conference play, and it might be the last look that we see of teams playing cross-conference games until we get to March.
Yeah, it's a cool weekend here, Kurt, with the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Glad to see you were able to hop on the show. How's it going?
Going good. Last week we had to do the recording for the NFL show, but I missed out on you guys. I didn't even get to watch it. And then the week before that, I don't know. I think I was at some Henry Date's house or some shit. I missed the Emmanuel Miller call. I was so tilted. I was texting you, and that's what I get. That's what I get for not tuning into my boys' shows. And I got what came for me. So I'm glad I'm finally here and ready to go.
Yeah, the Emmanuel Miller call worked out pretty well for us there. That was a couple weeks ago. We got 12 games in an hour, so we'll just dive right in. Before we start, I do want to mention, we do playbooks and core plays for every slate moving forward through March on the site. You can use code Boynton15 for 15% off, or Kurt15 does the same thing. Kurt, we're getting some background from you there, but let's dive right in. We got Auburn, West Virginia to start us off, Gavin. Auburn 24th at KenPom, West Virginia 21st. Two teams that have scuffled a bit here in conference play. Any overall thoughts on the game? I know that we do have some news or possible news on the West Virginia side.
Yeah, we kind of got this game 142-ish total, in that second tier of totals for the slate. But yeah, Kedrian Johnson exited last game with the sprained ankle. It sounds like West Virginia as a whole is pretty banged up from what Huggins is saying in the media. They're off getting drubbed. West Virginia's off the road win in Lubbock. That's a pretty tough place to play. Now they go back home. Just two of the more fraudulent teams, frankly, in KenPom, right around kind of the 20th mark where, shot quality has Auburn. But, Auburn's main weaknesses struggle on defensive glass because they run a ton. They turn the ball over, and they just flat out just can't make jump shots. 278th in shot making, even with the 20th best shot selection. So game could get up and down tempo-wise, but I think efficiency may be hard to come by in this spot for both teams.
Yeah, Kurt, I think if Kedrian Johnson is out here, we could look to someone like a Joe Toussaint. Any DFS plays for you in this one? We've seen Wendell Green look good over the last couple weeks, but, we also know his volatility there.
Is the background fixed? Are we still picking up something?
It's fine right now.
Okay, so I kind of honestly wanted to miss this slate. I want to do an extra like little test workout. Someone shook the machine, so here I am. But yeah, I didn't know the severity of the Key Johnson thing. So if he's out, then Toussaint had 30% usage last game. Looked good to me. Was good early on in the year, then kind of just died out. You got to kind of have him in the pool if you're doing 20 max and more inches like that. But I don't know what to do with Auburn. I mean, Flanagan's finally getting minutes. Katie Johnson's absolutely terrible. So hope I can get your take on Auburn. But Toussaint for me if Key Johnson's out, and of course Trey Mitchell a little bit. I'll dabble in.
Yeah, Gavin, what are your thoughts there on Toussaint? And then I think for Auburn, for me, it would only be the two spends. It would be Johnny Broome or Wendell Green. I think the rest of the team is pretty muddled at this point.
Yeah, I played Toussaint. I think it was, a couple weeks ago when Kedrian missed another game, and he was all right. 12-14 from the line last game helps. That's certainly going to buoy a 38-point fantasy performance, but specifically with Toussaint, Auburn has a pretty elite press defense. They press at the 83rd percentile in frequency, and they're 97th percentile in points per possession. And if West Virginia's down their point guard, I think that just bodes pretty tough in this spot. I think kind of uglier game. If you want to throw a dart at a Seth Wilson to try and repeat that shooting performance, in a large field, fine. Stevenson probably only GPP. And then, I don't see myself getting to much of these Auburn guys, frankly, at all. I think in this spot, even with a Broome, considering kind of what else is around and the other guys that he's priced near in different game environments.
Yeah, we'll kind of get to that as we go through the slate. No 10K plus guys to spend on the slate, Kurt. We don't have an Oscar we don't have a couple of the spends that we usually do. So Gav, any last words here before we move on?
No, I don't know how to bet this thing either. These teams are just so up and down. Like, this thing's just, I think, a shit show.
All right, cool. Let's move on to Minnesota Northwestern. Kind of an ugly game here, but we saw during the week Minnesota with a bunch of news that opened up a lot of value for you specifically, Gavin, taking down the Q. Congrats on that.
Congrats.
And those same guys are questionable coming in. We got Dawson Garcia and Farrell Payne, both questionable. I think Payne's more on the doubtful side, Gav, and I think Garcia might give it a go here. Do you have any lean on how that's going to go? And then let's talk about if Garcia is in versus out, what that does for you on the Minnesota side here. Team total 56.
Yeah, we don't need to get into the nitty gritties on this game. I mean, it's one of the most disgusting games on the slate. Thank God for Virginia and Boston College. But if these guys are in, I'm probably just going to X this entire game, I think, altogether. Just given like the pace and how slow it's going to go. I think you're right in that Payne is less than 50% to play, probably, more like 25%. He still hadn't cleared as of yesterday. And I think sounds like Garcia is 50-50. So if Garcia is out, you can go back to battle. Certainly got a high enough volume. He was pretty efficient with it, against Indiana, and Northwestern's going to make you shoot it over the top of him. So he's certainly in play. Creighton Thompson, man, holy shit. I mean, did he just burn the slate down? He was pretty owned, but keep in mind, Indiana hard post doubles at like the 11th lowest frequency percentile wise in the nation, and Northwestern's like 97%. So he's going to be under a lot more fire this game. And look, if Garcia's in, he's out. We're not playing him anyway, but I definitely like him a lot less in this matchup than I did in the Indy matchup. Yeah, and
Northwestern's been sneaky good inside, like you mentioned. We actually just saw them shut down a popular Derek Walker during the week. Kurt, I think they're actually first at KenPom in 2-point percentage defense. Thoughts on Minnesota here? I think Garcia's going to play, but let's say he's out. Are you going back to a Creighton Thompson, a Jameson Battle, guys like that?
So I know we had that spurt last year where he did some stuff. I finally watched him for the first time, and I kind of see why he does well when he's cheap, but then he kind of just loafs out there for a bit, and you can just tell he pisses the coach off. But I mean, I'm entering the 150, so I'm going to have exposure, but it feels very trappy even with it. He's out because he does have that foul trouble. I mean, Cooper misses every single shot, but if they're just going to let them chuck threes, you have to imagine someone on Minnesota is going to get hot. And it's probably going to be Battle. He'll shoot 15 threes. Mid-tier build fits it good, and then for Northwestern, oh my God. This is terrible. I mean, is Roper – I don't know who's back, but if not, then I'll have a couple shares of freaking Barnheiser. He did good first the other night, but not going back to Ty Berry after a Newt game. This is a gross game. Like Gavin said, I kind of just want everyone to play. I want Roper to be back, everyone to play, and we can just cross it off.
Yeah, same here, Gavin. We used – Kurt, we're getting some feedback on your end. We used Barnheiser during the week at 4-2, 4-1. I felt pretty – fortunate to get the score that we did. He was just super efficient in his minutes, and they actually dropped down. Any interest there if Roper's out again, or should we move on here?
I guess, yeah, it's a middling value play. It's not very inspiring. Ty Berry going 6 of 12 from 3 last game or whatever it was certainly would help cap some of that ceiling that may be able to unlock more of in this spot, but I think it's a little bit thin in the context of a massive 12 gamer.
Yeah, I think he's in consideration probably only if Roper's out there. Let's move on. We got BC at Virginia. BC 184th at KenPom, Virginia 12th at KenPom. I took a stab at some plus 16.5 when it opened up. I think it's down to 14 now, Gav. Any overall game thoughts here?
Yeah, I took the 16. I was actually thinking under, but the main thing with BC is the return of Quentin Post. I mean, some of the on-offs on Hoop Explorer I was showing you, BC is 23.5 points per 100 possessions better with him on the floor offensively. And that's where they really need the help. They're definitely going to need it here as a big who can step out kind of against the Tony Bennett pack line. But yeah, another one. These two games are extremely disgusting. So even the value plays are going to have to find at least some efficiency because, I mean, you might be looking at 10 to 13 possession difference from like what BC is going to see to what Creighton's going to see. So it's just the disparity in game environments is tough. But yeah, betting wise, I think BC is still a little bit aside. 14 is just a ton and that low of a total, but UVA can certainly grind you out. Like if BC doesn't get to 50, I wouldn't be too surprised, frankly.
Yeah, so Kurt, last Saturday on the show, we talked about being early to Quentin Post in that UNC game. He only plays 20 minutes. So then off of the slate, he gets 2 games in the 30s here. He's still cheap for his upside. You know, we're all Post guys here. Tough road matchup at Virginia, but do you have interest in him in the low 6Ks, even in the tough matchup?
Yeah, I'll be playing him. I mean, I'm playing a lot of lineups, playing GPPs. We can't lie. Even in this matchup, he still has a 40-point ceiling. I mean, if not more. If he gets hot from deep, and if he can easily get a double-double. He can have a double-double in the first half. If he gets hot from deep and has some boards bounce his way. I mean, 6,300, he can legit break the slate. He can also kill you, but those are the type of guys I like to play. So I will be running him. I got to shout out Isaac McNeely. He's from Poca, like right up the road, 40 minutes. So always have him in the pool. They're trying to get him more involved in offense. They want him to shoot it. Can get hot from 3. Obviously a terrible floor because he's shooting dependent, but got to have him in the pool. So if you run a lot of lines, Isaac McNeely can kind of mix and match him with Dunn if you want, but I just prefer McNeely.
Yeah, Gav, thoughts on Post here in the tough matchup, but you know his price did not tick up. I think if he sees 30 minutes, he's going to be, you know, a 7,500 guy like the rest of the year. So I think he's like 1,000 underpriced here. And then thoughts on the other side, Dunn at 3.6, you know, has seen solid minutes their last couple games. He's seen 24 and 30 the last 2 as they basically phased out Caden Shedrick there.
Yeah, they've phased out a couple big men in lieu of Vanderplas. But yeah, when you look at the McNeely Dunn coin, like I think I'm on the Dunn side of it. Now you're obviously paying with what the ownership difference is going to be, with I'm sure Dunn a lot higher owned. BC cuts off 3-point line at a pretty high rate, and they're also like 50th in height, and especially long at the guard spot with the Langford. So I think it's a little bit more difficult for McNeely. You know, he's a little bit more, you know, where if he doesn't hit his threes, you're in deep shit even at that price. Versus Dunn doesn't really need to score a ton and can still hit value. I think he's got more ways to get there.
Yeah, and
Dunn's way more safer. I'm just playing the West Virginia kid, so fair warning, guys. This is a homer play. Dunn's a way more safer play. He does a lot more stuff.
Yeah, and Gav, you always like playing these like big wings at guard when we're able to, and Dunn is a
old stinky Woody Newton, baby.
Yeah, he's in the Woody Newton mold. Let's move on to another ACC game here. Louisville at Notre Dame. Louisville is down to 300th at Ken Palm. Notre Dame
down 2 or up from what?
Yeah, they're ascending now. We saw Ellis get into foul trouble for the first time in a while last game. Gav actually had an assist prop over on him last game. I had like over 4.5. He had 4 at halftime and then like fouled immediately and ended on 4. That was pretty tilting. But what we have seen here is Huntley Hatfield out, or with Huntley Hatfield out, the Louisville front court has kind of taken shape. Still a bit tentative to trust it though, Gavin. Overall thoughts on the game here, and then the Louisville forward logjam in your eyes, how that plays out.
Yeah, Notre Dame, they ain't much better than Louisville in their last 14. Like Notre Dame has 3 wins in the last 14. Louisville has 2, you know. After they beat Sparty, Notre Dame, you know, their 3 losses since then have been Boston U, Jacksonville, and Georgia Tech in overtime at home. Like they're dead last in the ACC in adjusted defensive efficiency. Yeah. Okay, the 115.4 metric, if you extrapolated that over season long, that would put them 359th in the nation in adjusted defensive efficiency. Okay, that is how putrid they have been. Now, I don't know if that has any bearing on whether or not Louisville will actually score, because you actually have to put the ball into the basket, which is Louisville's big issue. It's in that second kind of tier of total games with the first one, Auburn, West Virginia. I think you're probably likely to see a much slower game than Auburn, West Virginia, but I think you see much higher efficiency on both sides just with how trash these defenses are. And then, yeah, you mentioned the forward rotation. Like, fuck me, buckle up. It's the same thing as the Josh Passenger guard rotation. You're not going to feel good about playing any of them. You have no idea if your guys are going to play 15 or 30. They're going to be owned. So it's like spin the wheel and go for it.
Yeah, I think we can take a couple chances here just because they're so cheap, though, Gav. A guy that we've liked in the past, Kurt, Jalen Withers, has been finally playing more. He does a bit more corner standing than I'd like on offense. But I watched some of their last game, and they are running a good amount of offense through him. So I think I would be most comfortable with Withers. Do you have any take on these Louisville forwards? And then touch on Notre Dame as well.
Yeah, it's kind of we just like Withers' game. It just feels like he's the better player. So, like, we're willing to take the risk with him because we know I don't know, I just like his game more than these other guys. Trainer's super cheap. I'm going to set a roll in 150, and you guys can tell me this is crazy, and it probably is because the show is 138. At least one of these forwards, because one of them is going to get there in this matchup, and then one of these guards for Notre Dame is also going to get there. And I know that's crazy, but if I hit the right combo, I have the nuts. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think I like the Notre Dame guards more than the Louisville forwards.
Agreed.
I'm not sure that you're going to need a Louisville forward, but I think you might need a Notre Dame guard. Gavin, we'll go to you. We saw Marcus Hammond blow up on that Tuesday slate. He was the key to me getting my seat. I know that. Man, what a game there. He stepped in the starting lineup and kind of sparked this offense a bit. I know they're struggling overall as a team, but we do know that they love their short rotations. Those top four guys, at least, are going to play nearly the entire game. Do you have any thoughts on how to separate these guards here for Notre Dame? I mean, they're all, I think, priced a touch too low. Anything stand out there?
Stand out? No. But, the four guys who it's like, yeah, they're all priced so closely together. They're all going to get pretty close to the minutes. I just don't know, like, who's going to be the one that grabs all the rebounds. Is it going to be the Dane Goodwin, Cormac Ryan? Is it going to be Hammond going for another freaking double-double when, he's so short he can barely legally drive a car in America? Like, I thought Hammond was going to be more of a spark plug, six-man off the bench, but he's certainly proven useful in terms of his, offensive creation off the bounce and from deep. So, but at this point, he's probably so close to Dane Goodwin and Cormac Ryan. Like, I'd probably rather just take a stab with one of those, given I know what they have, and I don't know if I want to chase with the Marcus Hammond game, but $1,500 price increase. Now I think he's a little bit too close to the other guys.
He's a fade for me. I had him on his new game. I loved him all year. I'm fading him.
I'm kind of hoping people play him in this spot, frankly.
Yeah,
I'm not that interested or as interested in a fade here. I think he's more like priced where he should have been last slate based on his minutes and usage. He was just way underpriced. And that slate, if you remember on Tuesday, just had so many good values on it that he kind of got lost in the shuffle when he was down at 4-1 because everyone was playing those guards in like the high 4K range. But if you look at his minutes and usage over the last couple games, I mean, he's played 30, 32, and 37 minutes. The 37 last game probably because Goodwin and Ryan got into some early foul trouble there. Yeah, I mean, would I rather get to a Goodwin or Ryan? Probably, but they're also 500 and 1,000 more. And this is a slate where salary's a bit tight in the mid-range. Like, we don't have a bunch of smash values. We don't have the 11K guys, but we don't have the 3 to 4 3K guys that we can usually count on these Saturday slates. So I do think the 500 or 1,000 goes a long way. I have more interest in Hammond than you guys do, but let's move on here. Temple at UCF. Temple's 114th at KenPom, UCF 57th. Overall game thoughts here, Gav. We saw Darius Johnson return for UCF. I think it kind of muddles things on that team outside of maybe a Taylor Hendricks in the front court who's been playing really well.
Yeah, I mean, Temple's got 3 straight wins, including at Houston. And after barely losing to Memphis, they're in second in the conference by themselves. So Temple also has Houston on deck, but UCF off the 3 straight losses. But like you said, Darius Johnson came back last game. kind of happy that it happened against Houston because the inefficiency, like I think people are going to be kind of like, not really want to play him in the spot. And it's not the greatest total, frankly, but it's also Houston. And now you're playing Temple. There's just a massive discrepancy right there. So I got some Darius Johnson GPP interest for sure. Like I'm definitely going to run him in a couple of key lineups. No question about it. The problems I have with like UCF, they allow a ton of offensive rebounds and they're super slow. Usually if you allow a lot of offensive rebounds, it's because you push in transition and you're sending guys on the break rather than crashing the glass. But, that's not a really good combo. They are a high 3-point rate team. So their scores can get a little wonky and variant from game to game. But yeah, you mentioned Taylor Hendricks, dude. Like, I mean, maybe with Aiden Mahaney, like these might be the two most underrated freshmen in the entire country. Like his conference ranks are 5th in minutes, 6th in O rating, 19th in effective field goal percentage, 10th in offensive rebounding, 1st in blocks. And the guy's shooting 39% from three, like at 6'9". I mean, he might get drafted, dude. Like legit, he might be a one and done at UCF.
Yeah, I actually saw
he's good.
I actually saw a mock draft the other day that had him like 20th.
I wouldn't be surprised if he makes like a LaRavia type jump.
Talking about Hendricks?
Yeah. He looks good, and people don't click him because he's not a household name, but he is a guy who probably should be like in the mid 8K range. So you're getting a bit of a discount on him here. It's just a tough game environment, I think, Kurt, for a stud. We got a total of like 130-ish here, 134. Any overall thoughts on this game, and then any interest in a Hendricks or a Johnson? I think I'm crossing out Temple with that team total of 60 on a 12-gamer.
Yeah, and then like Jamel Reynolds coming back, maybe he flirts with 20-ish, so maybe he gets another 7 minutes. I mean, he was kind of vital early on in the year, so it's just a full-on X for me. Plus, they're not really priced that sexy. Some GPP shots on Johnson and Hendricks, but besides that, it's no main team plays for me here.
Yeah, agreed. Any last words on this game, Gab, before we move on?
Yeah, I kind of echo the Jamil Reynolds for GPP larger field stuff. I mean, you were mentioning the minutes. He also fouled his ass off last game. That his first game back against USM.
I did not see that. Ooh.
Yeah, 4 fouls in 12 minutes. So I mean, he was really the focal point of that offense and the main guy inside before he was hurt, and they kind of handed the reins fully over to Battle and Dunn. So I think he's pretty interesting in this spot.
His foul rate was bad at Seton Hall though, too, right?
Huh?
Wasn't his foul rate terrible at Seton Hall too?
Yeah, look, I'm not gonna fade a guy just solely on the fact that because he fouls. I mean,
but you think he gets if he doesn't foul, you think he gets like 22-ish, 23?
Yeah, I think he has upside for low 20s here.
Like he's going in the pool.
I think he's got upside for like high 20s, even 30 minutes here in the spot.
Oh my mama.
Yeah, well then you probably want to have some if you think that.
Yeah, I'm gonna run him in the queue. Like I'm gonna run Johnson Reynolds minis in the queue for sure.
That gets me so hard. I love mini stacks. Oh, baby.
Let's move on to a good game here. This is the CBS game. I think Lapis is on the call, Gav. That'll be fun. He's been good. I like him. Xavier at Creighton. Xavier 19th at Ken Palm. Creighton 11th. These teams played, 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was 90 to 87 in regulation, something like that. So, Gavin, just overall game thoughts here, how you think it's going to play out. I don't have a bet on this. I saw Xavier got up to plus 5.5, plus 5. Pretty enticing, but I'll probably just stay away and watch and enjoy here on the betting side, at least.
Yeah, highest total on the slate. I think it's down a few points from open, but still the highest on the slate. And yeah, man, this is the all-out lotion game. Like Xavier off the huge win at UConn. Now they're on the second leg of the back-to-back, but it's not like Creighton is some sort of world beater at home. Don't forget this team lost to Nebraska with Kalkbrenner at home. So, it's an interesting matchup in that, like, Creighton just has these games sometimes where they'll just shoot 3 of 20 from three and, score 60 points and they're completely flat, or when they're hitting threes and they're getting up and down like they do against St. John's, they're complete world beaters. Now, the line feels wide. Like, I don't know that Creighton is better than Xavier on a neutral right now. In fact, I'd probably gander that they're not. I probably would bet Xavier at pick 'em on a neutral. So in
I would
that
take
sense,
Xavier in that.
right? So you're paying full freight plus some for Creighton in this spot, but it's also a great spot, with revenge, coming back home, Georgetown on deck, so no look ahead worries or anything like that. And Xavier's a team with, the second highest expected 3-point regression rate in the country behind, I think it was Utah State. So the offense has just been running crazy hot, but they don't take a lot of them. So you might not see that regression right away. I think it's spot says Creighton, which is why you're paying for it in the line. Definitely going to want some pieces on the DFS side.
Yeah, let's go to DFS side, Kurt. Does anything stand out for you? We've seen since Xavier is so compact and they've played so well that their prices are pretty high. But I mean, if they score 90 points here, you're probably going to want a piece. Do you have a favorite of the Xavier pieces?
So it's probably gonna be chalky, but I mean, Phil's chasey, but he's a good player. Baylor in this type of game environment, holy moly! And he's only 8-4. Like, I mean, you're giving me a discount on the Xavier guys. He's at home, hoping that he knocks down those threes. But I'm going to go Baylor, and then I don't have a lean on the other guys. So I'm going to rotate him. But I never really also do this. But I'm going to have shares of Hunter in 150 and just hope that Fremantle or Ncaa get in foul trouble because Hunter looked good. And then he probably also gets in foul trouble himself. But let's say he doesn't. I think he could honestly nuke the slate. The guy is just legit good. If he doesn't foul, someone else fouls, he can put up 35 at 4-7. Not a
Hunter's
play.
Like a really good bench piece for them. Mm-hmm. Got up to 25 minutes last game with the Fremantle foul trouble plus the technical and shit that that he had against UConn. I think I agree with Kurt on the Shireman being my favorite guy on the Creighton side. I was kind of hoping that he would struggle against UConn and we would get him low owned here. I know that you played him last slate when everyone had Calc. That was an awesome call. Got you to two. So I'll let you have the floor with Creighton here, and then why don't you give your favorite Xavier run back because it's kind of hard to choose between all those studs.
Yeah, like it is the perfect game environment for Baylor. Like coming from South Dakota State, playing that really fast pace up and down. This is what he's made for. As a point forward who you got to guard as soon as he steps out of the friggin' bathroom, by the locker room. So. Yeah, it's obviously a great spot for him. Keep in mind, he was going at the weakest part of St. John's defense in terms of the wing, and now, Xavier, maybe the only respectable defender they have on the entire court is Colby Jones, and he's pretty elite in that facet. So there's a little bit more difficult individual one-on-one matchup, but yeah, obviously great game environment. He's certainly in play. I'm probably going to play him over Calc as well, but Calc had a great game last time against Xavier, but the whole Xavier high-low means that they're going to be really attacking Kaluma on the defensive side of things. Yeah. Basically, whoever Calc, steps out, they're going to force Calc to step out onto the high post and then throw it underneath to the other big who Kaluma's guarding. So Kaluma and GBP, I think, is fine too. I think he's going to have some rebounding upside being around the basket on the defensive end with these two bigs, and then obviously, Nembhard's in play, but when it comes to Xavier, yeah, like if I had to rank these guys, I might even go like a Colby Jones higher than some of these guys. I kind of like Colby in this spot. Fremantle was out super hot last game, and then just kind of he fouled, sputtered, couldn't get back into the rhythm of things.
Got teed up.
I probably want him over Ncaa, just given how good Fremantle has looked in the current form he's in. But and then 9-1 for Sully. Boom, man. Holy shit.
I think it's Jones, Fremantle, Ncaa for me on that side. And then on the Creighton side, it's Shireman, probably Nembhard second. I don't know. Nem has been priced significantly lower than Kaluma and Alexander for a couple weeks now. And now he's right up with them. So I think it's kind of tough there. Definitely prefer to get up to Shireman here. Like Kurt said, it's just the perfect spot. Kurt, any last words on this game here?
Yeah, so I promise I'm not a donkey. You should never play someone hoping for fouls, but I have a question. And for my 150, if, let's say, obviously, we have Cal getting foul trouble. Let's say Kaluma gets in foul trouble. With Xavier running two bigs, can they run Frederick King with Cal together?
I don't think they've done that at all this year.
Not even in this matchup?
I don't think so. I don't think he's athletic enough to guard someone.
He's not. He's so big and fat. He's so good, though.
Yeah. Gavin, to your point, when they played last time, we saw Kalk play 38 minutes and Shireman play 37. So, we've really seen a bunch of these teams who have tight rotations play their studs basically the entire game in close games and then kind of pull off of them like we've seen Creighton do, especially with Kalkbrenner, in games that they win by 10 plus. We'll talk about Houston later. They do the exact same thing. Any last words on this game here, Gav?
Now, just make your rule at least one Creighton.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah, I think if you're not playing a Creighton guy here, you're doing this really, really wrong.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like I'm just going to play Nembhard and just hope I don't get burned. I think he's kind of the biggest cuck play out of the five. Given I don't know what kind of ceiling he has compared to a Kaluma or Trey Alexander, but yeah, you're going to want at least one Creighton. Yeah,
which is interesting because they are not going to show up in optimals. They don't project super well at their prices. Good. So
I'm ready to win another seat then. Let's do this again where nobody just plays Baylor in the complete lotion game on the slate. I'll take another seat. I'm happy to.
Let's go to another great game here, especially DFS-wise. NC State at Wake Forest. Gav, I took some Wake Forest -1. I think it's run out to 3.5 or so here. Any overall game thoughts? We thought Jack Clark might be back, but current rumor has him at least waiting another game.
Yeah, it's a pretty good spot for Wake off 2 straight losses. Versus Virginia at home, no shame. At Pitt, where Pitt was in a pretty heavy positive shooting regression spot. Now they're back home, but they also are going to Cameron Indoor on deck for Wake. But no, I generally agree with the betting take. Like, this is going to be a game I think that they really miss Jack Clark because Hildreth is going to be a freaking menace. They're going to have probably throw Turk on Appleby, and then if it's Joyner, if it's Morcell trying to guard Hildreth, whatever it is. The Wake defense is pretty straightforward. Like, they're going to pack it in and they're just going to underscreen everything. So this entire game pretty much comes down to NC State hitting threes in especially the pick and roll game and other difficult shot making in the mid range. So if they're hitting that, NC State could blitz them. Like if Turk gets hot from three, they're going to get their 3-point opportunities in this game. So yeah. The other thing, we've talked about it before on Saturdays, NC State, 96th percentile in press defense frequency. Wake Forest, 97th press offense point per possession. So
wow,
they're well equipped with Appleby and Hildreth, I think, to handle it at home. I think it's a pretty good spot for them. Agree with the Wake.
Yeah,
number one adjusted offensive efficiency in ACC play with negligible regression. So it feels pretty sustainable.
Yeah, I think they play well here, Kurt. I definitely want pieces of Wake. I've played a bunch of Hildreth lately. He's kind of just like sat in that low 7K range and is pretty much crushing every slate. The peripherals are reliable. If you watch the game, like, he's as involved as Appleby is. And these guys are playing the entire game here. Any thoughts on the Wake Forest side? Do you have a favorite? We've seen Appleby's price kind of creep up towards 9K, but like we've said, there's no Oscar on the slate. There's no Baycott. Guys like that. He's playing 40 and 40 and 38 in their last 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, that 1,400 discount you get is just so ham. I mean, I'm going to set a rule with at least 2 guys in this game because I just like a lot of the mid-tier guys, and I'm not paying up for Turk. It's so much, man. I'm glad to see him back on the court though, so good for him. I'm glad it wasn't anything serious. But he'll just the guy for me, as it will probably be for everyone else, even though he's not protecting that great. But also, I think, man, Joyner under 8K feels like you're getting Turk's rates for a 1,600 discount. So I kind of like the 2 secondary pieces. I'm sure that's going to be popular, but like, mix it up. And then, man, can we just have one Ernest Ross game where he doesn't foul? Because holy shit, that guy's fun to watch. I will have interest. He's going to foul again, naturally, but I like him, so I'm going to have him in the pool.
Yeah, Big Ern loves to foul, but man, his rates while he's out there are awesome. Gav, any thoughts there? And then I will say on the Wake side, Andrew Carr has also been playing a ton and looks good out there, man. NC State pretty weak in the front court. I could see Carr outscoring Hildreth here at way less ownership. I think you can play both, honestly. So I kind of like the 7K plays in this game, Hildreth, Carr, and then Joyner on the other side. 39, 38, 38 minutes, last 3 games, 20% rates across the board. I think his peripherals are super safe. I think he's basically, I mean, they're not the same type of player, but like he feels like the Hildreth play on the NC State side, where you have the gunner shooter price at 9K, but the safe peripheral guy who's going to get you 30 to 40 price under 8K. What do you think?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, NC State's also on the road, whereas Creighton's at home against what I think is a worse defense. So myself, I'm going to get to a lot more of the Creighton Xavier game over this game, but yeah, I think Carr's pretty interesting. Like, Carr might be the one who really exploits this matchup without like a Jack Clark being able to switch on the back end. It's going to be interesting with DJ Burns as always, the way that Wake Forest packs it in. Like, but the guy's just the largest ballerina on planet Earth. He's got great feet, great footwork, soft hands in the paint. Like, it's sneaky good, but it's not for me at 7K. Like, if the way that I think I'm going to get to this game is, man, it almost feels like you have to. If I'm going to play this game, I think I'm just going to all out stack it. Versus, I think I can get much better one-off value and guys with better floor ceiling combos at the given price ranges in a better environment in the Creighton Xavier game for me. So, like, I'd be looking at it like if you want to go Appleby plus Carr plus like a Ross to make it happen, I'm fine with that. Like, I think there's definitely a couple guys in place. So I don't know if ranking, like, I think Appleby's still in play even at 8.9. Like, guy just doesn't even come off the court.
If you're doing a game stack, can't you throw in DeMario Monzetta for I don't like the price, but he chucks.
He's who I was going to bring up. Monsanto is going to play big minutes if he doesn't foul. I swear
he's not a foul guy, is he?
Oh yeah. He has like 3 charges a game, Gavin. If you ever watch this guy, he can't really put it on the floor. So every time he doesn't take a set shot 3, he just bowls over someone because he's not quick enough to get around anyone. And then he sits the rest of the half. But yeah, I mean, with a team total around 80, I think you have to be interested in Monsanto if you're stacking the game. Any last thoughts on this game here, Gav?
Nope.
All right, let's move on. Iowa State, Mizzou, interesting spot here. Been fading Iowa State for a while here to my detriment. They're up to 14th at Ken Palm. Gav, Missouri 56. I think it's a pretty good spot for Mizzou here. We took a bit of the under at 144.5. I saw 141 right before we started here. Any overall game thoughts for you, Gavin?
Yeah, man, Iowa State. They're something this year. They're 12-0 at home, but they're 3-4 on the road. Now, those 4 losses are UConn, Iowa, Kansas, and Oklahoma State, so they're pretty good losses. But they're off the win versus Kansas State, which was an analytical loss per shot quality. Mizzou's off the win at Ole Miss without Morrell. Now they're back home for 2 games. And, the only teams to beat Mizzou are KU and Bama. And, they did get kind of boat race and stomp pretty early and never even kind of put up a fight for most of the game. But I don't see Iowa State short of them just completely locking down the Missouri offense, which I also think is less likely given the fact that it's in Missouri. That Iowa State just boat races them early. So I think this game stays pretty competitive. I liked your under. I took a bit of that, but I think I like just Mizzou more. The whole thing with like Isaiah Mosley coming back and the punch that he provides that team, that's kind of what put me over the top from that. That's what put me over the top in terms of Mizzou being my bet or my bigger bet versus the under. So yeah, I think this is a great spot for him. Like Iowa State's not the greatest at stopping transition, but they will slow the game offensively at the 293rd APL, and we haven't seen Mizzou be the greatest in the half court, but they also haven't had Isaiah Mosley in the fold, someone who might be now just one of the best guys, even in the SEC, just go out and go get his own shot, late shot clock, off the bounce, all 3 levels, whatever it may be. So definitely like Mizzou in the spot.
Yeah, it came out that Mosley was dealing with some personal stuff throughout the start of the season. He was the guy that we were super high on, the transfer from Missouri State, Kurt, coming into the year. Seeing him slide into the starting lineup, we got him in there on Tuesday, and he was going to absolutely break the slate, and then he fouled 3 times in 3 possessions to start the second half. I think Mosley's a great play here. Any other interest in this game? We saw this morning that Gamillion was ruled out, so I think Mosley will start again.
Dude, he's an NPC. They're better without him. Forces Mosley into the lineup more.
We've seen Kobe Brown's price come back down to where he's playable. He was up in the mid-8s for a while. I think he's a fade there just because of his foul risk. But in the mid-7s, I think he's definitely in your pool if you're playing something like the mini-max, which I know you do.
Yeah, so hand up. Who played Mosley first game back, 4,700 against Bama? 75%. You played him?
Both. I played them both slates.
You all got cucked. You got Sheffield and freaking the injury to what's his dick, bro. Richmond, that killed you guys. And I had that in one lineup. So I had 75%. My non-Mosley lineup had Richmond. So I was like, oh, okay. But, man, that was a great slate. But you all honestly should have nuked it because Sheffield and Richmond were elite plays. But this guy is just good. He does shoot like this. So that can tilt you. But he just gets out. He pushes the tempo for them. This motherfucker will just leak out. Like, he's sneaky about it too, and he can get his bucket in the half court. I just love this guy. 23% shot rate or some shit last 3. I love it. Kobe Brown's super cheap. This is a decent little game here. I feel like the total will be lower because we're just used to Iowa State playing so slow, which they still do. But I do like some Missouri pieces, mostly just Brown and Mosley. But Hodge was hot last game. But I think, man, Mosley's going to eat into him a lot more as the season goes on. I think they're going to get a lot closer in price. So just Mosley and Brown for me here. And then, Iowa State. I'm not going to them right all year, but Gabe Kalashar is due for a 40-point game, isn't he, Steve?
Stop.
Yeah. Well, going to the Iowa State side, Gav, I think I have more interest in Jaron Holmes. Kind of a bummer that he had the burner game last time out. I was hoping that kind of the same deal as Shireman. I was hoping that he would struggle a bit, and then people wouldn't be on him here. I think people will be on him because of the big game. The minutes and the rates haven't really changed. He just finally hit some shots. He's still under 7K here. We have a ton of good plays in this 6K range. Why don't you sort through the Iowa State guys in the 6K range because there are 3 of them.
Yeah, I'm just going to always play Jaron Holmes over Kalshar at similar prices. If Gabe isn't really hot shooting, he's auto dead. Versus Holmes has a couple different ways to get there with his peripherals. Yeah, Oshuni, man. Shit, Missouri has the 3rd worst rate allowing offensive rebounds in the entire nation. Iowa State is the 34th best offensive rebounding team, and Oshun is specifically himself is the 48th highest offensive rebounding rate for any one player in the country. So, yeah, if he does get over like 30 minutes, he absolutely could smash. But he's been kind of hovering around that mid-20s, so he's still got to remain efficient. But this is a phenomenal matchup for him right here.
Yeah, the only issue is, he's not 4'2" anymore. He's 6'1".
Yeah.
I think he's definitely in consideration. Probably use him on like a team where I don't use Holmes, something like that. Any thoughts on Iowa State? Last thoughts on this game here, Kurt?
No, just Holmes' rates are just so sexy. He's been playing so well. It's finally a lot of these St. Bonnie guys are finally starting to heat up lately. So that's nice to see. They're getting comfortable in their new homes.
Yeah, it's good
for them.
We're kind of running short on time, so we got to speed up a little bit. Bama at OU. Gavin, I've got Bama -6 on the road here. Any overall game thoughts? We've seen Quinterly play back-to-back games with mid-20s minutes. We're kind of waiting for this all year. It's kind of strange that happens as they are getting healthier, though. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, Bama is in my money the number 1 team in the country. I'm picking them on a pick on a neutral versus anybody else, even Houston. So, yeah, it's Quinterly, dude. I had to fend off Quinterly from the biggest luck box in the lobby to win my seat. So I was pretty fucking nervous. I was like, he's definitely going to bury 3 or 4 points. The thing about Quinn in this matchup, so OU runs kind of a funky like drop switch coverage where they basically play at the line of the screen. Which means they're able to fend off 3-pointers a lot more, but they're susceptible underneath to both dribble drive and short rolls. So like Quinn can have success getting to the rim, probably less opportunities from deep and less efficiency here. But yeah, I think he's in play for sure, just given his price, even if he only plays the 22-ish minutes.
Yeah, Kurt, thoughts on Quinn here, and then Brandon Miller, now the highest priced player in the lobby, best freshman in the country, well deserved.
Yeah, I'll be super quick because I know we're trying to run time. Quinterly, why do you think he's back? He's not back, so I will have a share, but it's extremely risky. If you're not maxing, I don't recommend it. It's just this guy's a giant cuck, and I have interest in Grant Sheffield. That's it for me here.
Yeah, Gavin's more the Sherfield guy. I think my issue is, although Bama plays with a ton of pace, their defense is so goddamn good this year, Gavin. Any interest in Sherfield here before we move on?
Yeah, definitely. I prefer to attack Bama on the perimeter for sure, rather than inside with Bediako, with Clowney, fighting the length of Miller.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely in on Sherfield here. This should be a 15+ shot game with with peripherals at home. I think it's a pretty good spot for Sherfield.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Texas Tech LSU here. Texas Tech 2.5 road favorites. They are down AMAC and Pop Isaacs. LSU's had Juice Hill return to the team. I think that pretty much muddles up LSU for me. Kurt, we'll go to you here first. Without AMAC in the fold, we saw O'Banner and Bacho play more than they had been back to before AMAC had returned. I think my interest in this game is in the Texas Tech front court. O'Banner played 30 minutes, Bacho 28. I think there's upside for more, though, moving forward here. Any thoughts on Texas Tech and specifically the front court guys?
Yeah, I mean, just the same thing. I really love O'Banner. Bacho, $700 cheaper, can get close to him, though, so I'm going to probably be even on them, and I don't know which Tech guard to go because, I mean, Isaacs kind of runs their offense a little bit, so, I don't know. I don't know if Tyson's going to be able to, pay off that even in the big workload he'll get, so hopefully Gavin has some clarity on this guard situation, but just the front court for me.
Yeah, I think that we'll see one of these cheap guys start for Texas Tech. I just don't know if I trust any of them, Gav. We could see Kerwin Walton start. We could see DeMaurian Williams start. They tried the Lamar Washington experience. That didn't work out. I think it's just going to be like those core four guys playing a bunch and then him just kind of grasping at the fifth spot. Do you have any read on this?
Yeah, playing these cheap Texas Tech guys is like pissing into wind that's blowing right in your face. You're just going to have it all over yourself. It's going to be mostly Tyson and Harmon, 30+ minutes a pop, taking a majority of the shots with O'Banner and Bacho's short rolls. But I think that this game, I think this game is going to be disgusting. Both these teams force massive rates of defensive 3-point rate, and neither one of them can shoot it for shit. They're both outside the top 200 in 3-point percentage. I mean, these teams have a combined 15 straight losses. This is a dog-ass game that I think is going to be mega inefficient. So I'm kind of looking at the under, and I don't think I want really much of any DFS. Definitely not on a main line, and I'm not even that warm and fuzzy even playing this game in GPP scenarios.
Yeah, I definitely have more interest than you then, especially in the front court guys for Texas Tech. I think O'Banner, Bacho, one of those guys is going off here like they did last time. We saw O'Banner go off last game. Bacho didn't make a shot and basically got there. So I definitely have interest in those two under 7K. These guys were nearly 8K players with no AMAC early in the season. I think they should be low 7s right now.
That's fair.
Let's move on. We got two games left in just a couple minutes. Marquette DePaul, good hammer game here, Kurt. Marquette implied for 82 points. We've seen Kolek, Oso, and Cam Jones basically take all the minutes, all the usage, all the shots. So I don't think I would stray from those three guys. They're not cheap, but they are priced a tier lower than maybe they should be with an 82 team total. DePaul pretty worthless defensively. Do you have a favorite between those three, or are you just going to try to get exposure to all of them?
Yeah, I'll probably just rotate them. But, I mean, my main thing here is just Biggs versus Marquette, baby. Oso will not foul you because he's so important to the team. He's a skinny little bitch. So, yeah, people just go right at him, and he just gives them whatever they want. So I'm going to go – can't go freaking you or I, but give me some Penn. Minutes are ticking up lately. Just don't foul. And 30% rebound rate, he can smash here. I feel like no one's going to play Penn.
Yeah, Penn's interesting because he's kind of going to get lost in that mid 6K range. We've talked about a lot of 6K plays on the slate, more of a balanced one, Gavin. Any thoughts on the Marquette guys if you have a favorite? I think I kind of lean Cam Jones here just because I feel like volume scorers always get there against DePaul. and he's definitely their volume shooter guy. Any thoughts there? And then the DePaul side, we've seen Ncaa actually play really, really well with Caleb Murphy beside him, kind of surprising me. Any thoughts there on the DePaul side as well?
Yeah, I'm probably Cam Jones with you. I just think he's got kind of a different scoring ceiling than these guys. He's pretty consistently 20 plus in a lot of these games. So probably Cam Jones first, Kolek, and then Oso. But yeah, it's almost like, Umoja, another point guard, showed up and he went, oh, maybe I should stop fucking around, and stopped with the stupid fouls that took him off the court. So yeah, he's looked much better. The scoring especially, he's done it 3 straight games, so I can't say I still have the worry that Murphy's going to eat into some of that volume, especially at the point guard spot. But yeah, he's fine. 8-1. Probably like him a little bit more than Kohler. And kind of on par with my like for Cam Jones, just at a little bit elevated price.
Do you have any interest in like a Javon Johnson? We've seen a couple down games from him. I'm not sure if that's sticky or he's just having a couple down games. He's still playing the minutes. And then is there any concern for you with Gibson against Marquette's press and tempo, I guess? Probably not.
Not a ton. I probably should have looked up what DePaul's press offense was, but yeah, Javen Johnson. I think it's Javen, by the way. The last couple games, or at least this year, I've heard the broadcasters say Javen. But right. Yeah, you're gonna need a big rebounding game from him, obviously, and this is definitely a spot to do it. Been pretty inefficient from behind the arc last 4 games, so if he knocks down a shot at home versus some other undersized kind of wings, I think he's pretty interesting GPP play. But 7-3, it's hard to click him over Cam Jones in this spot.
Yeah. Any last words on this game, Kurt?
No, sir. Let's keep it rolling. Do you guys really don't like the Bigs versus Marquette? I know they're terribly priced and their minutes are up and down, but I'm going to take a shot. But I'm also entering a lot of lineups, so I understand.
Yeah, no, I think Penn's fine. The 30% rebound rate last 3 games.
His projection terrible, so he'll be like 5%.
7K for sure. All right, last game on the slate, Cincy at Houston. Poor Cincy. Just getting waxed here. I'm not playing any Cincy on a 12-gamer at Houston here, Gav. But I think all the Houston guys are in play. We talked about it earlier. These teams that run the super tight rotations, when games are close, they will push them to max minutes. We've seen Houston probably be the biggest example of this, maybe in the country. In their close games, they are playing Sasser, Shed, Mark, Roberts, Walker as much as possible. When they win by 15 plus, those guys are playing 25, 27 minutes. So any leans on how this game is going to go, and any plays for you on the Houston side?
Yeah, I tend to think this game is pretty inefficient as well. You still have Houston off the loss they took a couple games ago, and Kelvin Sampson ain't just going to let them forget about one good practice after we lost. It's okay, go back to normal. He's still going to be on their ass. So full defensive effort here. Since he really slows things up with the Wes Miller extended zone or extended pressure, so this game could really slow down possession wise. But the Houston guys are so gettable at their prices, maybe other than a Sasser in this. I just think he's a little bit overpriced at 8.5K, and he really has to get 20 real points, I think, to get there. So doable, but Roberts, I think is pretty safe in this spot. To threaten a double. I'm not as much Tremont Mark. I think I would rank it Roberts pretty clearly above them, and then kind of the Shed and Mark and Sasser bucket after that, and then kind of I worry about Jarris with Reggie Chaney coming back after DNP in last game.
Yeah, I'm a Shed guy. Good to see him have a couple good games in a row. Kurt, any thoughts there? Gav mentioned Reggie Chaney coming back. I think that's going to be a sneaky news thing on the slate that some people miss. I think that's going to impact Walker's
game too.
Walker's, I mean, his leash just gets shorter. I swear, freaking, what's his name is always teaching him life lessons. The guy can't do anything. I mean, he does turn the ball over a lot, but that makes his leash super short. So I'm not great at calling Houston guys. I'm just gonna go off you guys. They've been cucking me for years. Always good plays though when you get them right.
I mean, they're all in the 6K range. We probably talked about more guys in the 6K range than any other on this slate. So I think that these Houston guys are good pivots if you're down early, just because I don't think people are going to click on a Shed or a Roberts or a Mark here. And, since he keeps this game close and those guys are going to play 35 plus minutes. All right, we are right at the top of the hour here. Sorry, we had to speed through. There's an NFL show right after us. So before we get out, just real quick, Kurt, let's go to you first for your favorite 7K plus play and then your favorite cheaper guy on the slate.
Favorite 7K plus, I'm going to go with Hildreth. I know it's going to be popular, but don't care. And then what was the other range?
Let's say under 6K.
Under 6. Oh, shit. Go to Gavin first, and I'll come back with it.
All right, Gav. Favorite 7K plus and then favorite under 6K guy. Let's go a bit off the board here.
Darius Johnson.
Oh, wow. Favorite cheap guy?
I said off the board. What do you expect?
That'll definitely be off the board. And then favorite guy 6K or less, I guess.
Off the board. Reynolds.
I can go here. My favorite off the board expensive guy is going to be, oh my God, I just had it. Andrew Carr for Wake. I think that he's an interesting pivot to Hildreth and Appleby. And then my favorite cheaper guy, I'll go Marcus Hammond, just because I have to give him some love after the ceiling game that got me the Q seat. Kurt, favorite cheap guy here, and then we'll get out of here.
If Gavin's right on these minutes, man, and he doesn't foul, I'm going to go Jamil Reynolds. 5,300 will be 1% owned probably. If he doesn't foul and does play the minutes that Gavin thinks, the guy's going to do.
Yeah, Gav's going to love that. Any last words here, Gav, before we sign off?
Negative.
All right, guys, stay tuned. We got an NFL show coming up with Hoop and Big T and JSU, I believe. So tune into that, and we will see you next Saturday on the College Basketball Hardwood Show. Later.